So my project is going to be on plating and fine dining. So I have one slide to show you first, and I want to ask you a question. So which of these, excuse the blurriness, looks most appealing and appetizing to you guys?
Top left.
Yeah.
Top left.
Top left?
Yeah.
Burger.
Why?
The French fries look really crispy.
Okay. Anyone else
It's
have
more-
one that
it's
is
more
not top
approachable.
left?
Oh,
I like the chocolate because I'm a sweet tooth person.
Okay.
I like the green, little flash of green. Is that mint in there?
Yes, it is.
Looks very nice. Appealing.
I like the one all the way on the right as well.
Yeah, it's really pretty. But the one down below that's blurry, a little
This one?
blurry. Yeah, I think that also looks nice, but like it depends on what I'm gonna move for.
Okay. So this is basically what I'm going to be studying. So a little bit about me. I grew up on the French and German border of Switzerland, right here. Basically, I had every amazing food of Europe at my doorstep, which basically, I'm not surprised that I become a foodie. I love food, I love fine dining, I love everything about it. So when I was given the task of creating a senior project based off of something I was passionate about, I was drawn to the subject of food and fine dining naturally. My project was originally going to be defining what fine dining was, but I realized that that project was too broad, so I refocused my aim of the project to something more narrow while still staying in the category of fine dining, which became plating. My project has moved from the overall definition of fine dining to exploring the art of plating and how it affects the taste of the dish. I will include other elements of fine dining, but for my experiment and my final product, it will be narrowed down to plating, not so it becomes overcomplicated. Many of the experiments and studies that I've read beforehand, most of them talked about how the color of the plate affect the taste. But I wondered, what about the table setting? Does that affect it as well? So my research question is, what are the effects of plating techniques on taste? As I said, in the initial research, I came across very few resources on topics of fine dining or its variables. But after narrowing it down, I came across one scientific journal called Flavor, aptly, which helped me understand my topic more, and it's where most of my resources for my projects came from. It's funny. The Flavor Journal has many different sources, from experiments and studies to general discussions, all within the realm of food. And it's there that I found many of the resources that I use for my experiments, because it has data, unlike a lot of the other ones which you'll find on the web, which does not have data and is not credible enough. As I said before, they generally looked at the plate color and how it affected the taste, but none of them really looked at the combination of the design on the plate along with the table setting, which is what I'm going to be studying. So for my experiment portion of my project, and not the final product of my how-to guide, I will be doing an experiment on the plating and the presentation of the table to see whether the participants' perception of the taste is affected by the presentation, different type of presentation. I will be serving them the same type of dish over the course of a couple weeks, while changing the variables of the presentation and the setting to see if that affects their perception of the taste from the different times they tasted it before. With that data, I'm going to be using, I think, at least 3 study groups, experimental groups, to get enough data. And with that data, I will analyze it to see if there's a pattern, to see whether the presentation correlates to their likings. This project is significant because it gives us an insight to the psychology of the presentation and plating, and how it can influence someone's decision and perceived taste of the dish. From the findings of other experiments, they have discovered that the color of the plate influenced it. But I would be doing the study on the setting and the presentation and see if it would change their perceived taste, which I have not found another source that does that. For my end product, along with the experiment, I will be creating almost like a how-to guide to plating, which will cover like a little bit of history of fine dining, plating from around the world, and maybe some techniques. I haven't quite decided on the final yet. But in that book as well, I will include most of my study in it to give it evidence, I think, if not